But ribollita in Italian means reboiled. Reboiled. So the idea of reboiled, traditionally, any sort of leftovers you had in the fridge, let's say you had leftover soup, some leftover ingredients, some leftover bread, you would take all of that, put into a pot, and then reboil it, and have an even tastier soup because it has, you know, this soup that's been sitting and concentrating in flavor, and then you're adding all these other ingredients. So that's what we're going to make for you today. We're going to do pretty traditional, and I've added a couple new ingredients. The idea for a soup like this, with a lot of our cooking, but especially with a soup like this, it was meant to be what, you know, a kind of a clean the fridge sort of meal. So whatever you have, whatever was lying around, it was a way to use stale bread. You know, God forbid back then, especially my grandmother, if she's, you know, if we're not eating it, it's either going in some soup or being soaked in water and we're eating it for breakfast or fed to the birds. Nothing's going to waste. So that's the idea, is you're using anything that you have
all
left
those
over.
Veggies that might be about to go bad,
Absolutely.
you know, chop them all up and throw
Put
them
it
in here.
So we're going to start off with your classic sort of aromatic sort of mirepoix. So we have some celery, some onion, some carrot.
What does mirepoix mean? I've always wondered.
My French is horrible. All I know
Way
is
to put you on the spot.
It's my 3 aromatic vegetables.
I'll look into it. If
yes.
anybody on Twitter knows, tweet us.
Yes.
Mirepoix at ELLICSR Kitchen.
So celery, onion, carrot, with a little bit of olive oil get a nice stock pot, a nice soup pot, and just gently cook it, so medium heat, just until it's nice and soft, kind of like this. So we have a little bit of color here. You got that there? So we have a little bit of color.
And
the
it
onions
smells
are softened.
amazing. So when people walked in, they said, "Wow, it smells great in here."
And that's all it is. That's the power of mirepoix. So that's going to go in there. Just slowly cook. A few garlic cloves. I love garlic, so you know, throw a couple in there while that's cooking. There's no need to chop it up for something like this. Again, it's rustic. You know, skin on. Just use the side of a knife. You can use the bottom of a bowl and just give it a little crush.
Just smash it
Just
open.
smash it, kind of like that.
If you have ever spent minutes of your life peeling garlic, this is going to save you a lot of time.
Yeah, so skin comes right off. That goes in. And if you want to chop it fine, like you can do a quick chop through there. Absolutely. I find it good luck if you find a clove of garlic when you're eating it.
Or you have to do dishes. That's
Yeah.
the way it goes.
Oh, that's horrible. Okay, so garlic goes in. If you want a little bit of chili flake, if you like a little bit of heat, put some chili flake. If you don't like the heat, even some like dried oregano would be fantastic in here. I think I have some, a little bit of dried oregano, dried basil. Again, this is meant to be whatever kind of seasoning you have in the house, you throw in there. So just a little bit, put that in there. And you're gonna cook that for about 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Like I said, just until it's soft, just until it has some color like that. And then we can throw our remaining ingredients in there. So potato was not always used. If they had it around the house, then you would put potato in there. So we have a little bit of potato here. You know, again, this is gonna be a perfect soup for the winter, for the cold. We also have some pumpkin here. I have lots of pumpkin. So, you know, we're putting some leftover pumpkin. Wasn't usually traditional, but again, this was a northern Italian dish. So anything like pumpkin would probably be available. And this ingredient as well. Anyone know what this guy is? I'll pull out a leaf. No, kale. Rapini, no, all close. That's in the next recipe.
Oh, okay.
Kale, this is called cavolo nero, or that's another Italian word. Does anyone know what that means in English?
Something black.
Black kale, or black kale. Yes, black kale. Black kale.
Or dinosaur, is it
Dinosaur kale is similar. That's, I think, probably your
different names?
American or Canadian word. But this is very traditional, again, because it's a hardier green that grows in colder weather. So this was almost always used. Any type of cabbage you can use in this.
Could you put like chard or
absolutely
chard? Any greens that you have?
Yeah, chard was used sometimes as well. This is almost always kind of used, but if you can't find this type of kale. What I've noticed with the black kale, I've seen it at most grocery stores, but on and off. They don't always carry it. So if you can't find it, regular kale or Swiss chard, spinach, even cabbage, even like, you know, if you ever buy cabbage, I think we were talking about this yesterday, you need probably like 13 recipes just to get through the head of cabbage.
Here's one.
There's one. You can check it in here.
Perfect.
So kale goes in, our potato, pumpkin goes in. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be all these ingredients, just whatever you have on hand. Give it a little bit of a stir. Give it a little crack of black pepper. And just a pinch of sea salt. And then we're going to add some of our liquid. So this is just a can of chopped tomatoes. So the liquid and all in there. So that was a 28-ounce can. That's kind of like your standard large can that you would find. So one of those in, and then fill it up with water. If you have vegetable stock or chicken stock on scratch, bonus, even more flavor, you know, add that. But water is fine. You just fill a can with water. So 28 ounces of water, 28 ounces of the tomato. That's going to go in. And it might not look like enough liquid, but just let it cook down. The kale's going to release a little bit of moisture, but that's going to cook down, wilt a little bit as well. And this is a sort of soup where it's more almost stewy. Yeah, than soup. So bring that up to a boil. Once it's boiling, reduce the heat to about medium, low. Let it simmer for about 25, 30 minutes minimum, just until the potatoes and any sort of starch ingredients are cooked through or soft. But the longer you cook it, the better it's going to taste. So even if you have 2 hours, right to low, small simmer. So very, very small bubbles, and just let that go, let that cook.
This would be a good crock pot one too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can just let it
absolutely
sit and all the flavors will come out.
Beautiful. And then the beans that you use, so cannellini beans are the little white beans. That's typically what's used, but you can use white navy beans if you can't find those, even white kidney beans. I mean, there's no rules. Any beans will work here. And you can definitely soak them, dried, cook, or if you're going to use canned, just rinse them, drain and rinse them. Mm-hmm. And that's going to go in as well. Final ingredient, again, this is sort of where the Hearty comes in. And again, using sort of the leftover ingredients, whatever's left over around the house. So usually like your stale bread was typically thrown in here to add some substance, because I mean this was sort of a peasant dish, so meat was definitely very hard to come by. It was definitely sort of a privilege to have. Cheese as well. If they had a little bit of Parmesan cheese, maybe they would add it. Maybe they don't have it. So bread is one of those fillers. Again, it's an optional thing. If you're going to go for a bread, definitely try to find, if you have a whole grain bread, would be ideal. Or you can even add, like it typically doesn't have pasta, but I guess you can add like a whole grain pasta or something like that. Throw a little bit, just raw, dried, right into there. Even some barley if you want, change it up a little bit. But very rustic, kind of just tear it off into pieces. And that's going to go in. And I mean, it's, in terms of the amount of steps it takes, it's pretty easy. You're just throwing things into a pot. You don't have to do too much. And it's a one-pot meal, so you'll less cleaning, which is great.
Sometimes.
And it's going to darken up a little bit, but this is comfort food to the max, absolutely.
A manly soup, if I ever saw one.
Yeah, and the tomato, like Christy said, not only is it really, really good for you, but it adds that really nice savory aspect to the dish. And if you did have parm on hand, a little bit on top wouldn't hurt. And that's it. That's our Ribollita with pumpkin for you guys today.